This is the Group Chat. In a world that focuses on the individual, we live life in groups. The Group Chat is meant to spark meaningful conversations about meaningful topics. We think in community, talk in community, and thrive in community. Welcome to the Group Chat. Yo, 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 what's up, hatchlings? This is your boy, Telos.
HB.
And this is the Group Chat, where we have meaningful conversations about meaningful topics. What's up, hatchling?
Is that a duck?
I guess anything out of an egg is a hatchling, right? You wouldn't call like a dog a hatchling.
No.
It's a mammal. Anything
A hatchling?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Anything that hatches out of an egg?
It's got to be, right?
Do you not know? You just called me something and you don't know what it is. That's
I called
rude.
everyone something. I don't know what it is. You're just one of many.
Hatchling.
Can you define for me what a mammal is? I think there are like three definitions.
Three definitions of a mammal.
Three qualifications. Sorry. A mammal has to be blank, blank, and blank.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
Blank, blank. Three of them.
Think about the difference between a snake and a dog.
Yes, I know. The whole reproductive system type deal. They give birth to things that way.
You said a bunch of vague things just there.
That was not vague.
Their reproductive system, they give birth to things that way. I don't know what that means.
Okay. Three things.
I think it's
They
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I thought about something, but then I was like, nope, that's wrong.
So I'm pretty sure it's they nurse their young. They give birth to live young.
As
and
opposed to
born,
dead ones?
No, like an egg isn't a lot. Like when a turtle lays an egg, it has to incubate and then it's born out of the egg. And so like as soon as the turtle lays the egg, if you open the egg, it's not alive.
Yeah.
But as soon as like a monkey gives birth to a monkey, then it's a monkey.
It's squealing.
And then I think it's warm-blooded, I think. Like nursing their young.
Yeah, I agree with that
give birth to
one.
live things and then warm-blooded, I think.
Give birth to live things. So
I'm going to look it up.
So what are the characteristics of like a reptile then? Or
Cold-blooded? Yeah, I think it's like the inverse.
Okay.
I think. Because like lizards don't nurse their lizard.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Okay. Characteristics that make up a mammal include interesting presence of hair or fur.
What? What about a naked mole rat? Oh, never mind.
Warm-blooded, young born alive, and mammary glands and complex brain.
I don't know what that means. I think that means they can learn things.
Mammary glands, that means they nurse their young, right?
Oh, yes.
Complex brain.
Brain?
That sounds
very
vague.
like they can learn things.
Lizards are stupid and monkeys are smart. That's what it sounds like.
That's what I heard from that.
Presence of hair or fur. I got three.
How
of
many
them.
were there that you just listed?
Hair or fur, which I didn't get. Warm-blooded, which I got. Young born alive. Mammary glands, and then complex brain.
So there were 5 that they listed.
Yeah. Complex brain is interesting to me. I don't really know what that means. Would you rather have no elbows or no knees?
So, like, I just couldn't bend my arm or bend my knees?
Yep.
No elbows.
Oh, no way. I would say no knees.
Oh, I couldn't eat.
I would much rather be in a wheelchair than...
I could not eat. I'd have to have a real long fork.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go with knees then, because I can still walk without bending my knees.
Unless you set your arm in this... Nope, yeah.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Couldn't.
Yeah, I'd have to go with...
Yeah, you'd have to be fed.
if I went with that, with no elbows.
Right?
Yeah.
Like somebody who breaks their arms, they can't feed themselves.
No. They'd have to have a real long fork. That's the...
Or straw.
Yeah, you could drink.
Yeah.
Drink a lot of smoothies.
I would definitely choose. Like, I would just have to sit like this all the time.
Yeah.
To stand, like I'd stand up and it would
you'd
suck.
have really strong legs, but
No,
you
because I
wouldn't
could
have
just
the
rest
option
them.
to bend them.
Yeah. That's like saying I have really strong forearms because this never bends. Like, nah, that's not really true.
Yeah. It'd have to be knees.
Yeah.
No knees.
No, that would suck.
Is that what's the longest bone in a body? Like on the average human?
Is the spine considered a bone? Like one bone?
I think so.
I feel like my spine is longer than because the only other option is what? A femur or a tibia or whatever that is.
I was babysitting for a kid one time and he wasn't even 2 years old and he fell down the stairs and broke his femur.
Femur?
Yeah.
Ugh.
He was in he was still in diapers, but he was in a cast all the way down his leg and then like up and around his like stomach. I felt so bad for the kid.
Sucks. I think I would say your spine. What do you think it is?
Let's look it up. I would agree.
Okay, go.
On the average person.
Right, I would assume. The longest bone in your body is
The femur.
There's no way that my femur is longer than my spine. That must mean the spine's not one bone. My thigh.
What?
My quad is not longer.
Stop.
What?
I think we must be wrong then, because on average, the femur, it is the femur and then the tibia, which is your shin bone.
Right, which is the ones we said.
And then the fibula, which is your lower leg, which I don't know the difference in your lower leg and your shin bone. Your humerus, which is what? Tell us. What's your humerus?
It's the bone that tells the best jokes.
It's your upper arm. I'm guessing here, your inner lower arm is your ulna. Yeah. Did you know? Wow. Did you know that ranked 7th and 8th are your 7th and 8th rib?
Really?
And there's nowhere on here that says your spine.
Spine must, because like I know they are vertebrae, so it's like,
yeah, it must.
It's like V8T1.
Yeah, that must be. I'm thinking of just like, pew, and
yeah.
then
I thought that your spine was
off of it.
That's what I thought. It's not like it goes straight down and like it's separated by vertebrae, but I guess maybe that means that it's not one thing.
Yeah, maybe not.
I never took anatomy. Whatever. Did you ever take anatomy?
Whoa. Oh yeah, it's talking about it's not talking about your like spine is one. Did I take anatomy? Nope, didn't have to.
Nope, didn't have to.
Did you?
Nope.
Oh,
absolutely not.
You
I
answered
was a liberal
then.
art major. Anatomy. What?
I was a teacher, but I wasn't teaching that.
Yeah, no, all your kids had to know was your body is called a skeleton.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Pretty much.
Can I get a good old HB drum roll real quick? Because what we are talking about today is, can Christians curse?
Interesting.
Can Christians
What if I just started
curse?
like
just
dropping
beep,
every...
beep, 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 beep.
We should beep out things in here, make people think we're cussing.
Just randomly. Just be like, man, I went to the store. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of something to say, but I have no idea where you would beep.
Customer service was...
But that's what I'm saying. That actually could be something where we would curse. Oh my gosh.
Can Christians curse?
Can Christians curse? Did you ever go through a cursing phase?
No.
Never.
No.
Really?
Out loud?
Huh?
Like there was a phase in college, my freshman year. I think I was exposed to it so much more than I was growing up and even in high school, that I was like hearing it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to actively choose to like if I stubbed my toe, I might cuss in my head, but it didn't come out.
Really?
Yeah. But not like all the time, whatever. Like I wouldn't say it was a phase that I went through. It just happened.
That's it. Cause like I never like cursed in my head ever.
I don't now, but like it was probably like a couple months where it was like that was a lot of what I was hearing because of the people I was around.
For sure.
So then if they stubbed their toe, that's what would happen. And so then when I stubbed my toe,
that's what would happen.
Not proud of it, but
but it is what it is.
What about you?
Did I ever go through a cursing phase?
Yeah.
No, I cursed one time. And when I did, it was an accident, and it was the same thing because of the people I was hanging out with. And I remember I was hanging out with them for like multiple weeks, and they just kept cussing. I was like, I must have been like 12 or something like that. And so I'm like hanging out. And
I really want to ask who you were hanging out with at the age of 12 that they were just cussing, but we'll leave that. We'll bleep that out.
We'll bleep it out. Exactly.
No.
Yeah, I'll tell you later. And so we were hanging out, and I remember all of a sudden, the word I said is, I was like, it was a bunch of guys who were just messing around, blah, blah. And I was like, man, he's going to beat you. And I said it, and as soon as I said it, I was like, and I literally ran away. Like, I was there, and I'm not even kidding. So we were upstairs in a place, and the elevator was behind me. And as soon as I said it, I like backed out of the conversation into the elevator, closed the elevator, went down, and left. And I was like, I can't. What did I do? I'm going to hell. Like, I was so convinced, like, this was the end.
Why do you think you had that reaction?
Oh, because cursing is from the devil. Absolutely. And I was the spawn of the devil at that point. And that means I was going to hell. And if my dad found out, that means I was going to go to hell in bruises. No. It was like, in my mind, it was like, oh, that's what people who aren't saved do. It's like, you don't curse if you're a Christian. Those are bad things. Mm-hmm. And then out of that, I was just like freaking out. Obviously, I like learned and grew, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to hell. Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, well, I still don't think it's good. And then in that accidental first curse word that came out of that little 12-year-old's mouth, poor year old, is what I said.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Thanks so much. I think grew and matured, but still out of that, I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I think I grew up with cussing was like, it was done when things were bad. Like the person was angry. It was done out of anger or something, or frustration or something. And then when I got to college, it was just thrown around. Like,
oh yeah. Even by Christians.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I remember, like, I mean, I was a pretty sheltered kid, but then like hindsight looking back, and I still experienced life, but I realized once I got to school, I was like, oh.
School meaning college or high school?
Specifically high school, to be honest, yeah. And I realized it's like, oh, a Christian up to that point in my life was always somebody who was like X, Y, and Z with certain things. And I was like, oh, it's very understood that Christians live a certain way. Mm-hmm. And then I realized people would call themselves Christians and not live a certain way. And I was like, huh?
You hypocrite.
In my 12-year-old mind, I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But the Bible said that. And then that's kind of when I realized that there are people who are just at different places in their life and their walk. And to be honest, some people who just have chosen to live a certain way while claiming to follow Jesus. And I was like, oh, not everyone lives the same way that I do. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that I live better than anybody else. Yeah. And at the time of my life, I was very much saying that, like, oh, whatever the Bible says I do, that's what you do as a follower of Jesus. Like, you've given up your right to choose the way that you want to live, because now you said Jesus gets to choose the way that I live. And I was like, the way that Jesus tells me to live is through the Bible. So why wouldn't I do that? And so it wasn't necessarily like this judgment. I was just like, oh, this is new to me.
Yeah.
That Christians, people who follow Jesus, claim to do X, Y, and Z. And I know there are probably a bunch of people listening right now who are probably like cursing. Really? Like, you're one of those who like you're telling me you don't curse?
No.
Have you ever heard me curse?
No.
I've never heard you curse. Like, and I'm just like, that's kind of just, I know the way that we grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But in that, I think a question maybe that's important to answer with people who are like, really? We're talking about cursing. Like, I can't say a 4-letter word. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Why is, or I guess the question is, you can probably hear from our tone of voice, is cursing bad for a Christian?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now the question after that is why is cursing bad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, same with you. Grew up in a, like, your parents saying that it was wrong, but it wasn't just that, but it was like, yeah, well, like, that's like, why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that I was doing it, but just like, what's the why behind it?
Sure.
But I mean, we're not supposed to sit here and use this unlawful language. And I think often, like I said a minute ago, like when I was growing up, a lot of times it was used because someone was angry or frustrated, or like in sports, you know, and like they would miss a shot and like say a cuss word or whatever.
Right.
So there was maybe a reason why it wasn't just like they were throwing it around. However, it was like, okay, well, when I'm angry at my brother, should I cuss?
Right.
No, it doesn't matter if it's like because of I missed a shot on the basketball court, or it's just not beneficial.
Have you ever seen those people who, or heard or talked to those people who are like, well, what if I don't use it in a negative way? Like, what about people who are like, I effing love you? And it's like, can I curse then? Because I'm saying how much I love you?
Yeah. I don't think so. So here's when someone says that, I think oftentimes people will still say that word in their head because they're thinking that. So if I said like, I effing love you, then that person is going to, or surrounding people are going to be like, oh, they just said the F word.
Right.
Like it's playing in their head.
Right. And I'm even saying like the people who are cursing, but literally saying the word. Obviously, I'm not going to say it. But I'm saying like, saying
it in a kind way. Kind way.
Right, exactly.
No, I still think that's wrong.
You're like, no, I still don't agree. No, I agree. Like, it's, at the end of the day, I think the argument that I've heard the most for cursing is, well, what if I don't, like, those are man-made words.
Mm-hmm.
What if I do it in a loving way? What if I'm not angry? What if my heart behind it isn't bad? Then can I say those words?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm like, my mentality when it comes to things like that, or people who are like, oh, if I get drunk, but I'm not like doing anything bad when I'm drunk, is that a bad thing still? My issue with people saying like the reason why something is bad in the Bible is because of what can come out of it.
Yeah. Is
people always say, well, what if nothing bad comes out of it? And I'm like, here's the thing. The Bible says very clearly, do not curse. The verse is literally, do not let curses and praises come from the same mouth. It says, do not slander and do not speak evil. Use your words to build up and not to tear down.
Mm-hmm.
Very clearly, it says, do not curse. You're going to have to convince me that cursing is good when your book that dictates your life says cursing is bad. I don't have to convince you that cursing is bad when the book that dictates your life tells you that cursing is bad.
Yeah.
People do that all the time. They're like, but what? And I'm like, hey, here's the thing, bro. You don't have to convince me.
Yeah.
Convince God that this is right or wrong.
Good luck with that.
Because this is what this isn't my decision.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what the book that you follow says.
Mm-hmm. Or you claim to follow.
Or you claim to follow, exactly. And so if you don't claim to follow it, and I think that's why it says curses and praises shouldn't come from the same mouth.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't love Jesus, why would you follow him?
Yeah.
Like that, obviously, if you don't love Jesus, then obviously you're the captain of your own ship. When you follow Jesus, he is the captain of your ship. He said, don't do that. Now, I'm sure that there are reasons behind why we shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And even if there weren't, I still don't need a consequence for me to obey Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think so many people are like, but why? And I'm like, at the end of the day, Jesus told you not to.
Yeah.
Is that enough for you?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, our conversation is then, is Jesus the Lord of your life?
Yep.
Specifically, the Lord of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Does he get to control what you say? And at the end of the day, that goes to so many things. Like our culture is so mean. We will slander anybody because they disagree with us. That's unbiblical.
It is.
You should not slander
It happens so often.
anybody because Jesus told you not to. Even if you're right, guess what? Jesus said don't. So it's like, and I'm getting on a soapbox right now, so I'm going to step right off. But I'm just thinking to the place where I'm like, practically, literally, the question of can I cuss? You don't have to convince me or you have to convince the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says it. And at the end of the day, I think it's really a question of, is Jesus the Lord of your mouth?
Yeah.
Does he get to decide what you say? Even if there's not a consequence that you agree with,
Mm-hmm.
is that enough for you to obey Jesus just because he said it?
Yeah. I think about, so one of my friends, whenever they would I'll miss a shot on the basketball court. Like
Right.
he wouldn't cuss, but he would be like, frick. And say
Right.
it. And I mean, if you're in the stands, not that you're going to
Right.
hear what he's saying, but
Sure.
so what do you think about that?
That, when you get to a place where, so I have multiple thoughts on that. One has to do with your heart. Two has to
I
deal
totally
with your
agree.
witness. Your witness is I think a really easy thing. People will rarely ask you questions about what you meant.
Yeah.
They're just going to hear what you said and they're going to say,
Run with it.
oh, that guy curses. They're going to see what you did, and they're going to see you at a party, even if you're sober and not
Yeah.
making out with anybody and not doing drugs. And they'll be like, oh, he parties.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're fine, they're going to say that. And so at the end of the day, your witness is that you're representing the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
If you're representing the kingdom of heaven at all times, no matter what, then even if you're getting close to something, then people aren't necessarily going to be like, oh, well, he's blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
she's blah, blah, blah. They're just going to run with it. So I think it's your witness. One is our culture gets really, I think, interested in Christianity. It might be an exaggeration, but I'll run with it. And I'm going to get close to it, but not do it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get close to cursing and not curse. Instead of saying F-U-C-K, I'm going to say F-R-I-C-K. And it's going to be like, Jesus is proud of me.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Come on.
okay.
Yeah.
And then, but I think more importantly, then it comes down to the heart is, the reason is,
because it's not even that. It's you could say, dang it,
yeah. Like if you have the heart of whatever that feeling is, so
Yeah.
much anger, and you say flowers, it's like,
Exactly.
do you think Jesus is happy with your heart still?
Right.
I don't think so. And the reason why I think we can go to that is because Jesus said, if you hate your brother, you've already committed murder in your heart. And
That's
so
good.
then Jesus is saying, it's not just about what you say, do, it's about what your heart is.
Mhm.
And so then you're like, you're telling me I can't be frustrated or angry? No, I'm sure you can be frustrated or angry. There was a bunch of people who are righteously angry in the Bible. And that's the key word. You're
Yeah.
righteously angry. That your anger and all of your emotions are submitted to God. I think people think, oh, I'm a human. I'm only human. And so you can do whatever you want. No, your emotions should be submitted to God.
Absolutely.
So if you get too frustrated to the point where you have to let out some type of burst of anger, that shows what's going on in your heart.
Just scream.
Right. You stub your toe instead of like, dang it. You're like,
No, I had a kid. It's so funny that we
Punch a
used to
pillow or
say
something?
that. No, I had a kid, a fourth grader that I taught, and he would scream a lot, when he was
Right.
angry. And so I'm like, well, I'm glad he's not saying something or calling someone a name, but he would just scream. And I'm like, bro, we got to do something else. But I'm like, take deep breaths.
Right.
I don't know, but you're disrupting the whole class. And he struggled a lot just with his behavior.
Sure,
And
yeah.
so it wasn't
Yeah.
I was like, oh my Lanta.
My goodness. And that's part of it. I think who's in charge here?
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
the real
what
question.
you were just saying beforehand.
Yeah, who's in charge? The analogy I love to keep is like Jesus is now the captain of my ship.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be my ship. I could go where I wanted, treat it how I wanted, do what I wanted, have on who I wanted, kick off who I wanted. That is no longer the case. I now submit my entire ship, my body, all of who I am, to all of who Jesus is. And so he's the captain. Whatever he says goes. And it's just really, you have to convince the Bible that the Bible says not to curse. And I just don't see how you can do that.
Nope, you won't.
And you're saying, no, it's just a 4-letter word. I'm like, okay, well then, sure. Okay, let's say that. Now let's go to your heart.
Yeah.
Is it just a 4-letter heart?
Nope.
Doesn't make sense.
And you're going to see the true colors there.
Exactly.
You know?
And always in those things, I never try and convince somebody. Because
you just show them the Bible.
Yeah. And I'm like, let's say you can convince me. You can't convince God. And I'm not the one who's going to judge you at the end of the day anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
With cursing, why do you think, or not even cursing in general, like we talk about like slander and how you speak and even screaming, like why do you think like words and what we say and how we say things is so important in the Bible?
I think, well, because when we, like, our words have power.
Yeah.
And so when we're
Facts.
saying all of those things, I mean, it's not, again, I think I was going to give the example of like, I'm frustrated, you know, and I'm going to say a word and I'm going to be like, joy, you know, like peace, like, again, going back to your heart. It's not necessarily, yes, the word, but like,
sure, yes.
Again, it's, where is your heart in it?
Right.
But our words have so much power. And so I think when we're over here throwing around words that are not nice,
right,
rude,
because even if you have the self-control to not say that word, you're not controlling your heart or your emotions to not feel that way.
Yeah.
And you might say, I can't control my feelings. I think so. I think you can. I think I think a pastor said one time, he's like, you can't control your first thought, but you can control everyone after that. That's like
taking those thoughts captive.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so if you're not, or if you're just controlling the word that comes out of your mouth, but not the heart in which it's coming out of, what you're doing is you're just cutting off branches and leaving the root there. And so guess what? Those branches might fall to the ground and you might not be saying 4-letter words anymore, but you're still going to have a root or a seed of anger, frustrations, unself-control, if that's a word. And then it's just going to pop up in a different way. Like now you're just going to punch pillows and then you're going to punch walls. Or now you're just going to be able to push everyone aside. And now you're going to become somebody who's closed off and doesn't want to open up. Like it's only going to open up itself to a different expression of lack of self-control.
Yeah. What do you think about like when, like if a student were to be like, well, Pastor Telos, I don't cuss. Like a lot of my friends do, but like I don't. And so just the impact of like surrounding yourself with that, and is it good or bad? Like, well, these are my friends. I don't want to just cut them off because they cuss. Like,
right. That's what I thought.
Like, facts. I was like, we opened the podcast with like, well, we were surrounding ourselves like we were in the wrong crowd in a sense. Not to say that those people weren't cool people, you know.
No, yeah.
But if that's who I'm gonna put around myself to allow to influence me, then that's what I'm gonna get, you know?
It's gonna be hurtful. And you're surrounding yourself with people who disagree with your values.
Absolutely.
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If they're cool with cursing and you're not, you are surrounding yourself. And if I'm not saying that like you can't hang around people who disagree with your values.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I'm saying if they're your core people and they are disagreeing with your values, that's going to be hard to live out your values with them because you guys inherently disagree. And so I would definitely encourage somebody who is following themselves or having friendships that are disagreeing with what the Bible says, find closer friendships who agree with what the Bible says.
Yeah, I agree so much.
And if you notice what I said, I'm not saying that you get rid of those friendships. I'm saying find closer friends who agree with your values, not kick those other friends to the curb. I'm not wearing shoes. Shut up. Kick other friends to the curb.
I didn't say anything.
I know I'm talking to the world.
Shut up.
I'm telling the world to shut up, not you. I never tell you to shut up.
Okay.
Probably would. I'm saying find closer friends who agree with your values, because you are who you surround yourself with. It's just the truth. And if you're not, then they can't be that close to you.
Yeah.
Because you are the people who invest the most in your life and who you allow to speak into your life the most, you inherently start to become more like them.
Yeah.
That's
what
just
is that
what
like? You're the average of your closest 5 friends, or like,
Right. Exactly. Show me your friends. I'll show you your future type stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, just in the sense of, I think, when I look at that, it's not just like, oh, okay, well, like your money, your career, your spiritual, like it's everything, if those 5 people, those 3 people, however many it is, if those are the people that you're allowing to speak into your life, then it's like, well, what's their life look like? And if their morals and values don't align, not just with yours, hopefully yours are align with the Bible, then if that's not the case for them, then it's like, okay, well, you need to maybe like give them a longer leash.
Right. Yeah. Straight up. And I think some people think that's like mean to be like, give somebody a longer leash or bring other friends closer.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you don't get to choose your family.
Yeah.
You get to choose your friends. Your friends will shape you. Absolutely. And if you're choosing friends going in a direction that you don't want to go in, you're choosing to shape your life in a place where you don't want it to look like.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying, never hear me say this, I'm not saying kick them to the curb. I'm not saying never hang out with them. I'm not saying don't be their friends. We absolutely need to be friends with people who don't love Jesus or people who aren't following Jesus.
Right.
Or maybe people who are trying to follow Jesus, but they're having a really hard time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We see that all over the Bible. Absolutely do that. And it's always easier to bring somebody down than it is to pull somebody up.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to pull up all of your friends to your level, they are having so much of an easier time pulling you down to theirs. And that's not mean. That's not mean to say, I want some people who are going to help me be the person that I want to be.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not saying kick them to the curb. I never said it. Don't say that I said it. I never said it. I'm saying that find some people.
You just said, shut up, Hannah Beth. That's all you did say.
And I called everyone some hatchlings. Called them little reptiles or whatever.
Ew.
No, chickens aren't reptiles. They're little, I don't even know. What's a non-mammal called? Just a not a mammal?
There is a different species or different, like there's reptiles, there's mammals, there's
like what's a chicken?
A chicken's a mammal, isn't it? No.
They lay eggs. They don't have mammary organs.
You're right.
They have feathers. It said fur or hair, not feathers.
What is a chicken?
Like, if something is not a mammal, it can't be a not mammal. It has to be a something, right? Right?
Why are we having such a hard time with this?
I hope this, when you're talking to something and the answer is like very obvious.
Okay, so it's either we've got amphibians, reptiles, insects, dinosaurs, what?
Amphibians, reptiles, insects.
There's more than this.
So, yeah, what's a chicken?
Okay, mammals, birds, reptiles, fish,
Birds,
invertebrates, and amphibians. Yeah, it's a bird. Has to be. Why did we not know that?
Like, yes, it's a bird. But I guess I was wondering, I thought things were in 2 categories. A mammal and not mammal. But I thought the category of not mammal had a word.
Mm-mm.
But I guess they're
just in another category.
Hmm. I also think that the reason that words have power, one thought I was just having was, if we bring it back, is how did God create the world?
Yes,
with words.
He spoke.
He spoke. And we are created in the image of him,
Facts.
the only unique thing on earth like that. And so I think that's why the scriptures say that our words have power to build up and to tear down, because we are made in his image. And what he did is that he created everything with words.
Yeah.
And so our words have a similar creation or destruction power.
Yeah, I agree. So good.
I think James says, in the same way that like a big boat is steered by a little rudder, or a big horse is steered by a small bit, your small tongue can steer and bring life or bring death in a really big way.
There's power in the tongue.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So last question. If somebody does...
Oh.
What?
No, mine was going to be a joke.
Oh. Last question. If somebody is cursing, or we'll make it broader, does not have control of their tongue, they gossip a lot, they say jokes they don't want to say, they say words they don't want to say, they curse, they use their words to tear down more than they do to build up, or they're just like very lazy with their words. They don't think about what they say. They're very like, oh, it doesn't matter what I say. My words don't matter. Do you have any advice for that person who wants to?
I was going to say who wants to.
Yeah, if they want to. Like, if you don't want to, good, have fun.
I'm not going to waste my words on
I'm
you.
Every time I think about somebody who's like, if you don't want to, I literally think about that Kanye song every time. That's like, what's a king to a god? What's a god to a non-believer? And I'm like, if you don't believe in God, what does the Bible mean to you? It really doesn't mean a lot.
Yeah.
So for me, when somebody doesn't believe in God, what I want to do is I want to show them as much grace as I can in the gospel, and I want to give them like, stop cursing so you can be a Christian. Stop slandering people so you can be a Christian. Stop saying bad words and doing drugs so you can be a Christian. Like, no. That's for believers. The scriptures are used to rebuke and correct believers, not unbelievers. The gospel is used to bring people who are unbelievers to God, so that then you can use the Bible to correct them, because then they submit their word to the life of God and the word of God. But to somebody who wants to stop saying those words, maybe they are Christian, they're like, yo, like I really don't, like, what would you say to that person?
Yeah, I'd say like take inventory of like your intake in a sense. So like, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you surrounding yourself with? Because all of that, like whatever you're bringing in is what's going to come out at the end of the day. And so whether that's music, and you just pause at that cuss word that comes through, like
right,
just the littlest things, like that's still being played in your head, and so it's going to come out at the end of the day. And so if you're wanting to like stop, we'll say cussing, since that's what we're talking about, I think you've got to cut those out to an extent. And
no, I totally agree. Snip, snip, is that what you said? Like a haircut.
Prune.
No, I totally agree. My one thought would be probably just a question, because I think that's like very valuable.
Practical.
And the way, and that's where I was. Yeah. And you were, is like, if I took inventory of who I surrounded myself with, that's what happened. And now I take inventory of who I surround myself with. Like, and when I say that, I mean like my people. Yeah. I'm not saying just like somebody I say hi to or somebody I text or whatever. My people is my people are people who aren't using their words to tear down, but to build up, and are submitting all of what they say to God. And that means that they're not lazy with it. But probably what I would say is is a question, and I would say like, do I care more about Jesus or me? Am I preferring Jesus or me? Is Jesus the captain of my ship, or specifically the captain of my tongue, or am I? Because that question, if he's the captain of your tongue, it does not matter if you agree or not. Yeah. You have given your life to him, which also means that your opinions. Yeah. And so your opinions now agree with him. And so even if you disagree, it's like, oh, all right, I am going to do something that I don't really want to do because you told me to do it. And I don't think that people who don't have their tongues submitted to the Lordship of Christ are unique in that. You and I do things that we don't want to do and don't do things that we do want to do.
Facts.
Because we follow Jesus.
Yeah.
You could go on and on, but that's the life of following Jesus, that you give up and he gives you whatever he has. And obviously in that life, spoiler alert, your life with him is way better than your life without him.
Spoiler, beep, beep, beep.
So that's probably what I say is like, do you care more about Jesus?
No, that's good. That's really good.
You have any more thoughts about cursing?
No.
Great. Well, everybody, this is the group chat where we have meaningful conversations about meaningful topics. I'm Telos.
I'm HB.
And remember, have a conversation with somebody, a good, upbuilding, uplifting, non-cursing conversation with somebody about this, because this is the group chat where we think in community, talk in community, and thrive in community. Y'all are the best. You hatchlings, go and cuss no more. Peace.